with some lockdown restrictions lifting, many of us got out and about over the weekend, but for over 250,000 people with disabilities, it's a lot more challenging, as blogger Jenny Berry has been finding out.
After becoming a wheelchair user nearly 4 years ago, I set up an Instagram page, Wheelie Good Life, to highlight issues that people with disabilities face every day, and there's one that comes up a lot.
Talking about toilets may not be the most glamorous subject in the world, but for around half of my 26,000 followers who are disabled people, it is a really important issue.
And that means, as the country gears up to exit lockdown, there are thousands of people for whom a return to public spaces isn't a cause of excitement, but worry.
I'll go to the loo about 6 a.m. before I leave the house, and I won't go again till 8 o'clock at night because there is nowhere for me to go.
I don't want the stress or the embarrassment of having an accident.
We end up being isolated in our own homes.
Even before lockdown, a survey of disabled people found that 78% avoided going somewhere that didn't have an accessible toilet. And for Marnie, finding a suitable loo was so hard that, aged just 21, she made the life-changing decision to have a catheter bag fitted.
It was actually classed as a medically unnecessary surgery because I actually had no bladder issues at all. My urologist referred to it as social incontinence because as soon as I was out of the house I couldn't go to the toilet.
However, since the surgery, Marnie feels she's had more freedom.
It means I can go out with friends, I can go for a coffee or a cocktail and just not worry about needing the toilet and having to go home.
I know that there's a lot of excitement at the moment with lockdown ending soon, and is that necessarily the case for many disabled people?
I mean, having the normal toilets closed in parks and stuff during the first lockdown gave people a little insight into what it's like for us every single day.
Though there are specially adapted toilets around the UK, they're not all adequate for many disabled people's needs. I'm meeting Rachel and her daughter Matilda, who lives with type 3 spinal muscular atrophy.
I've gone into some facilities and we've struggled to get her chair in and me as well as a carer to help move her.
However, there are 1,500 larger toilets across the UK called changing places, which Rachel says make a huge difference. They are the size of a car parking space and have extra facilities such as hoists and changing beds.
Having something like the hoist really helps my manual handling. The change beds are really important so that I can lay Matilda somewhere safe. Everybody's got that dignity and pride and nobody wants to be forced to have to lay anywhere that's not clean.
Would you say it's more comfortable for you, changing places toilets?
Yeah, and mummy and daddy.
For everyone?
The government has recently announced a new £30 million fund to install more of these toilets in existing buildings in England. For Karen Ho, who's campaigned for more of them with Muscular Dystrophy UK, that's positive news.
It's definitely a step in the right direction so people can access changing places in all the right type of venues and buildings so they can go out and lead a normal life.
New funding is great, but for me and so many others, it feels like there's a long way to go before we can share the joy of life opening up again, in the same way as people without disabilities.
We have to come together and start working with individual time centres and time planners to make sure they know that people like me exist.
There needs to be a changing places toilet in every public building and venue so that no one is excluded from using the facilities, regardless of their needs.
Whilst lots of people may worry if there's a toilet or not when they are going out, for some disabled people this is the difference between leaving the house or not at all. And as we gradually regain our freedom, something that many people take for granted can really limit others.
It's a real problem. Real problem.
Is.
And it's lovely to see Zach there, little Zach, the boy with the big beaming smile. Yeah, he's been to record signings and been to gigs that we do. And he's been campaigning about this on Twitter quite a lot.
But it's something that, a lot of us don't think about.
Absolutely.
And it's really good that Jenny's brought it to the fore, isn't it?